Part 77. I can't go back in the past. My love is so painful. After playing mahjong all night, this incident happened again early in the morning. He was closing his eyes and resting, when suddenly he heard someone call his name. Xuan Huaifeng opened his eyes, tilted his head, and saw Lin Qijun, dressed in a suit and leather shoes, walking towards him in a smart and suave way, and said happily, "I thought I was wrong, is it really you?" He paused. Then he asked with concern, "Why did you come to the hospital? Are you feeling unwell? I told you to take care of your body over and over again, but you ignore it." Xuan Huaifeng was stunned. The last time the two met at the White Mansion, it was a bit unhappy, and Lin Qijun could be said to have walked away. But he has a good character, and he never remembers his past unhappiness. It was the same when we got along in the past. There were quarrels and bickering while reading, and we parted angrily. The next time we met, they disappeared, as if they had never been angry. The other party is so generous and has been a friend for many years. Xuan Huaifeng also looks friendly and cheers up to talk to him. "I'm fine, I'm a friend of mine. He was an accident." Huang Wanchen was arrested in a low voice, and how to get the news, how to go to the prison to ask for someone, and talked about it in general. When Lin Qijun heard this, he couldn't help being angry, and said, "The current police are so lawless. If they are caught, they will be arrested. It's okay to argue in court, so why break someone's leg? No. This matter should be announced. Come out and let the public opinion evaluate it." Xuan Huaifeng said, "Isn't Wanchen himself a public opinion expert? It's because there is a lot of public opinion that this is caused. In his case, our friends will naturally help him in the future. But now, the most important thing is to save his leg." Lin Qijun said, "That's it." Xuan Huaifeng asked, "Why did you come to the hospital? Are you sick?" Lin Qijun, half serious and half joking, said, "It's fine, why are you cursing me?" He glanced at Xuan Huaifeng. Those eyes were half sad and half sour, like soft wool needles suddenly stuck on the flesh. Xuan Huaifeng met his eyes and immediately turned away, saying, "Are you someone who has read the new book? Do you still believe in these mantras? I only want to ask one more question because I am concerned. If you are unhappy, that's fine. I won't dare to ask in the future." He used to be willing to accommodate Lin Qijun no matter what, and would never say hard words just for a sentence. Now this is hard. On the one hand, Lin Qijun feels sour in his heart and sighs that something is right and wrong, but on the other hand, he feels that today's Huaifeng is more awe-inspiring and inviolable than the previous Huaifeng. The nobility, like the arrow lotus standing proudly in the pond under the rain, is even more fascinating. Therefore, instead of being annoyed, Lin Qijun smiled in a good-natured manner, softened his voice, and said, "I'm making a joke with you. Why should you be so serious? With the friendship between you and me, I can't even make a joke now?" Xuan Huaifeng was about to speak. Lin Qijun said again, "I came to see Bai Yunfei." Xuan Huaifeng was stunned when he heard this. He forgot what he had just said, and asked, "What happened to him?" Lin Qijun secretly looked at his face and saw that he didn't seem to have any taste or displeasure at all, and he couldn't help but feel disappointed for a while. But his face didn't show, and said, "I've been busy for a while, and I haven't inquired about him. Recently, I heard from a few friends that he is not in good health. He can't even get on the stage. And the Tianyin Garden side will break the contract with him and sign another Red Horn. So I put the matter aside for the time being and went to his house to visit him. Unexpectedly, when I went to take a look, he was very sick, exceeding my expectations. It is impossible not to be hospitalized. I originally wanted to hold on, but he refused to live. I forced someone to bring him here. Now he is living in this German hospital. Xuan Huaifeng was also surprised, and said, "Is he so ill?" "It's my fault. The last time I saw him, I knew that he was not well. I thought that he should be fine for a few days of rest. I actually forgot to send someone over to ask about the situation." "What is the disease?" "What?" Lin Qijun said. "His body was originally not good, and he has been suffering for years. According to the doctor's statement, he caught a cold and delayed treatment. It was originally a trivial matter, but now his lungs seem to be inflamed." Xuan Huaifeng said, "No, could it be pneumonia? This disease is not easy to treat." "Which ward is he in? When this matter is over, I will go to see him." Lin Qijun hurriedly said a ward number, and said, "He's in the ward feeling bored. If you have time, come and see him and help him relieve his boredom. I'm going to help him get a medicine, so I won't tell you to accompany." Xuan Huaifeng took a look, and sure enough, Lin Qijun held a doctor's prescription between his fingers and said, "Go quickly, don't delay." Lin Qijun walked away. After waiting for a while, the door was opened. Everyone was in a hurry. They hurried over and looked in. They saw the slow male doctor coming out with a foreign pen still hanging in his pocket. Before anyone asked, he frowned and said, "I said earlier, don't worry, the bone is broken. Put on a plaster cast and it will be good for 3 months." Changping asked, "Will his legs be bad in the future?" The doctor said, "If they are well maintained, then it won't hurt." Changping asked, "How can it be called well raised?" The doctor said, "Hey, you have broken the casserole and asked to the end, the injured person, how to be well raised, don't you understand?" He had a cold face and his eyes turned outward. But suddenly a big smile appeared on his face. The change was rapid, and everyone was stunned for a moment, but just because they didn't know why. The doctor had pushed them away and walked over to the tall blonde, blue-eyed man in a suit at the end of the corridor. Only then did they know that this big smiling face was for foreigners. Changping's face sank, and he wanted to speak. Xuan Huaifeng stopped him and said, "Don't talk about it, it's boring. Let's take a look at Wanchen first." There was a nurse in the ward watching. Saying that too many people were not allowed to enter, Xuan Huaifeng called the 2 guards behind to stand. Outside the door, he went in with Changping and saw Wanchen leaning on the hospital bed with a pale face, and Song Ren, who had brought him in with his back, stood aside. As soon as he saw them, Huang Wanchen sighed and said, "You too. Today's incident is a life-saving grace. I really don't know what to say in return." Changping said, "Then don't talk about it, save it for a while. Your breath is so warm to your stomach." He lifted up the robes often worn by literati, sat on the edge of the bed, and asked, "Does your legs hurt?" Huang Wanchen said, "It's much better than when I was in prison. At night my life is really short, 10 years. Suddenly he asked about his sister again. Changping immediately patted his thigh and shouted, "Oh, I'm confused. I just waited outside for news and forgot to tell your sister. She must still be worrying about you in the guild hall. I'll just call her and tell her." Went out to look for the phone. Xuan Huaifeng looked at his hurried back, turned around and said to Huang Wanchen with a smile, "This friend Changping is really good. This morning, he went to the mansion to wake me up and took me to the prison to ask for someone." Huang Wanchen also showed a hint of relief, nodded and said, "I have no ability in my life. The only thing I can boast is that I have made a few good friends. Today's affairs, I know, without your help, it will not be possible." After speaking, he sighed. He lowered his head and didn't speak for a long time. Xuan Huaifeng said, "Why did you suddenly become quiet?" "Yes, you are injured and tired. I shouldn't be arguing with you here. I'll go back first and see you when you're better." He raised his head and said, "You misunderstood me. I just felt emotional for a while, and I felt very uncomfortable, so I acted like this. As a reporter in a newspaper office, I always thought I had seen many ills in society. I just want to do something to please people. Now it seems that it is really blocking the car. Not to mention the misfortune that happens to others. Even if it happens to me, what can I do? Look, the spirit is 1 foot higher, the devil is 1 head higher. The devil is always higher than the spirit. Xuan Huaifeng laughed. You have always been a passionate socialist who shouted the slogan of democracy and freedom. How come you suddenly becoming decadent? But after spending 1 night in jail, I told Chengping that I want to clear your name. You should get depressed first. Xuan Huaifeng said. Can I not be depressed? Isn't this a bloody proof? In this world, power is more useful than justice. For example, today, if it is just peace, I think the prison warden will not let people go. I am afraid I have to drag my broken leg and stay in the smelly cell for many days. Maybe I will die in it. Just because you are there. That person doesn't dare to let go of you because of your identity. In the end, it's not about me. Whether there is a sin or not depends on who was courting in the past. Then, what will happen to those who are innocent but have no friends with status? Xuan Huaifeng's face was slightly embarrassed, and said, according to what you said, I am the representative of the power in this world. Xuan Huaifeng said, No, I treat you as a good friend. So I speak so frankly with you. You saved me, and I am very heartbroken. Thank you. Xuan Huaifeng said indifferently, it's just that gratitude is a bit unpleasant. Isn't it? Xuan Huaifeng hung his head, lowered his head, and said apologetically, I'm sorry, I know, it's me. It's too unpleasant to speak. You know me, who always offends people with words. I have always known that you are an upright person, please don't be mad at me. Xuan Huaifeng sighed lightly and said, you have suffered from such a thing and your leg is still broken. I am not so unreasonable. I am still fighting with you at this time. You can rest. Another friend of mine is sick and is in this hospital. I will see him first. He comforted Xuan Huaifeng a few more words and told him to take good care of him before leaving the ward. Song Ren silently followed behind him. Xuan Huaifeng crossed the corridor, reached the stairs, and walked up. Song Ren hurriedly asked, Adjutant Xuan, where are you going? Xuan Huaifeng said, Go to see a friend who is in the hospital. Song Ren asked in surprise, You really have a friend who lives in this hospital? I thought you were just perfunctory. Where's that one? Xuan Huaifeng said, Why'd I lie so much? Bai Xuelan is ill and happens to live here too, so I always go to see it. Song Ren said, It was him. Xuan Huaifeng asked, You know him too? Song Ren said, I don't have the ability to know him, but I just met him in the mansion. The chief said that although this boss Pai has a cheap career, he is a good person. Xuan Huaifeng was very aware of Song Ren's admiration for Bai Xuelan, so he suddenly became petulant, teased him and said, Since the chief said it's good to think about it. Song Ren said firmly, Of course. He nodded. Xuan Huaifeng couldn't help but smile, and said, Look at your attitude, even if Bai Xuelan sold you, you would still happily count the money for him. With a thick chest, he said, I don't want to sell my life to the chief. I'm not afraid to sell my life. I'm also afraid to count the money. It's good to count a lot. They continue up the stairs. On the 3rd floor, Xuan Huaifeng understood the location of the door of the ward. No wonder the number felt familiar just now. It turned out to be the ward where he stayed last time. How is it so coincidental? The high-level ward suite in this foreign hospital costs a lot of money every day. With Bai Yunfei's own ability, he may not be able to afford it. Most of it is paid by Lin Qijun. Xuan Huaifeng has always known that Lin Qijun is very considerate to his friends and willing to spend money. It is not rare to be willing to spend money, but it is rare that he is willing to spend money while being gentle and kind. If he was the kind of person who was covered in copper stench, he wouldn't have been close friends with him all these years. The corners of Xuan Huaifeng's lips twitched slightly, suddenly remembering what Bai Xuelan said before going to bed last night. That trace of smile disappeared before it appeared. The Lin family has been in business for generations. Bai Xuelan strictly rectified the import and export, which touched the interests of businessmen. Da Xin Yangxing acted to survive and actively resisted. This is the meaning of the title and is understandable. As the head of the customs, Bai Xuelan must do her official duties well and serve the country, and it is beyond reproach. It's just, why are the two of them facing each other? Neither of these two people. Xuan Huaifeng wanted to see anything bad happen to them. After thinking about it for a moment, I felt annoyed. Xuan Huaifeng simply stopped thinking about it. It's useless to think. Let's do it impartially. As Bai Xuelan said, this is a public affair, regardless of personal relationship. Xuan Huaifeng calmed down outside the door, raised his hand, tapped twice, and heard a voice from inside saying, "Please come in." Xuan Huaifeng turned his head to Song Ren and said, "The ward is not suitable for many people, and it is noisy. The patient is not resting well, wait for me outside." The last time Xuan Huaifeng was shot and recuperated here, Song Ren was in charge of guarding this place. Bai Yunfei, whom he recognized, just took advantage of Xuan Huaifeng's door to open the door and entered. He glanced in alertly, and caught a glimpse of a patient lying on the bed, covered with a white quilt, sitting next to him. And looking at the back was a 10-year-old girl. The child, it seemed that there was no danger, nodded and stayed outside the door. Xuan Huaifeng went in, and the girl sitting beside the bed stood up and turned around, revealing a fair and delicate face with melon seeds, a beautiful straight nose, picturesque eyebrows, and facial features that were very similar to Bai Yunfei. She thought it was a nurse who knocked on the door, but when she saw a man came in, she was a little surprised and a little ashamed. So she had to ask, "Who are you? Are you my brother's friend?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "Yes, his friend. I met another friend and told me that he was ill, so I came to see. Didn't I disturb him to rest?" The girl hurriedly said, "No, no." Bai Yunfei was lying on the hospital bed for a while, dazed. "I heard my sister talking to someone. I woke up halfway, opened my eyes and said, 'Why are you here? I shouldn't have disturbed so many people for me, it's really a sin.' Yiqing, there is no tea here. You can pour a cup of hot tea for Adjutant Xuan." Xuan Huaifeng said, "Don't be so busy. I'm here to visit the doctor, so don't let you guys be in a hurry." He walked to the bed, moved a wooden stool and sat down, and asked, "How do you feel?" while examining Bai Yunfei's face. Sure enough, he had a sick face, and his cheeks were so thin that they were slightly sunken, and his eyes seemed to be getting bigger and darker, with eyelashes covering them like feather fans. Xuan Huaifeng couldn't help complaining, "I told you again and again last time. How did you promise me when you broke up? If there's anything wrong, you must call me. You're in the hospital, and I have to listen from Qijun. You know? My sister has repeatedly asked me to take care of you. Let her know, she will definitely be scolded to death." Bai Yunfei smiled. "Don't be frightened by this hospital gown, it's not a big problem. It's just a cold. It's just a cough. I didn't need to be hospitalized at first. Qijun made a fuss and dragged me to live there. It's okay to force me to be hospitalized. Why did he go and tell you about it? It's really making things more and more mysterious." The girl took a glass and poured a cup of hot water over to Xuan Huaifeng. Xuan Huaifeng said thank you. It was too hot to drink, so he put it on the table by the bed. Bai Yunfei said, yes, it's the first time you see her. This is my sister, Bai Yiqing. Yiqing, this is Adjutant Xuan. He is a very nice person. He always takes care of me. Please call him. She was quiet and well behaved, but she didn't seem to see outsiders very often. She was a little shy. And her voice was as soft as the chirping of mosquitoes. He said, Adjutant Xuan, thank you for taking care of my brother. Xuan Huaifeng only has one older sister. But he has always been looking forward to having a younger sister. He has always been reluctant to approach strangers, and he used to be introverted and shy. Seeing Bai Yiqing's innocence and shyness, he felt a little closer and said, what? Adjutant Xuan, if you want, just call Big Brother Xuan. He smiled and looked at her from top to bottom. Bai Yiqing has short, flat-shouldered hair and thick bangs on her forehead. She wears a schoolgirl's blue cloth robe and a pair of flat-bottomed women's black cloth shoes on her feet. Seeing her dress, Xuan Huaifeng knew that she was studying, and asked, which school are you studying at? Bai Yiqing turned to look at her brother, saw her brother nod, turned his head back, and whispered, Jingxi. A girls' school. Xuan Huaifeng said, it's a good school, run by the Catholic Church, with a very upright learning atmosphere. Bai Yiqing replied cautiously, yes. The female teachers who teach us are all nuns. Students in the school dormitory are not allowed to leave the school without a slip. Xuan Huaifeng asked, do you also take math classes? Bai Yiqing nodded and replied, yes. It's just that math is difficult. Xuan Huaifeng smiled and said, You don't dare to say anything about mathematics. If you don't understand anything about mathematics, feel free to ask me. I used to be a teacher at school, and it was to teach mathematics. Bai Yunfei said, Yiqing, you are really lucky. He is a mathematician who came back from overseas in the UK. Didn't you hurry up and thank the teacher? Bai Yiqing was overjoyed and quickly thanked him. He became familiar with Xuan Huaifeng for a while, and he was no longer so afraid of life. The three of them were talking when suddenly a person came out from behind the white cloth screen in the ward. When they saw Xuan Huaifeng, they said, You're here so soon. Xuan Huaifeng looked up, and it was Lin Qijun. He didn't see Lin Qijun when he first entered the door. He thought he went out to get medicine for Bai Yunfei and hadn't come back yet. But he didn't expect that he had already come back. This is the most advanced patient suite in the hospital. There is a bathroom behind the screen. It is estimated that Lin Qijun came out of it. Bai Yunfei asked, Why did you take so long to wash an apple? Lin Qijun raised his hand and said, Look, the water pipes in this hospital are terrible. When the faucet was turned on, it splashed all over me, so I had to look inside. You put on a piece of clothing. Fortunately, we are about the same size, otherwise we would have to wear wet clothes. Bai Yunfei asked, What about the apple? Lin Qijun patted his forehead, couldn't help laughing, and said, After changing clothes, I forgot the apple and put it in the basket. I really lost it. I'll go get it here. He turned around and walked back. After a while, he came back with a very large apple whose skin was shiny and oily. He shook the fruit knife in the other hand and said, I'll peel it. The voice said, If you knew earlier that you wanted to peel the skin, you didn't need to wash it. Lin Qijun said, I still need to wash it. If I don't wash it, there will be ash on the skin, and the hands will rub it against the ash. If you touch the pulp, isn't it dirty? Sitting on the side of Bai Yunfei's bed, he lowered his head and quickly cut it up. Bai Yiqing made sense when he heard it. He nodded and said, Brother Lin is sincere. My brother always says that I am careless in my homework. If I were like you, he wouldn't have to talk. Bai Yunfei said, so you know that too. I'm careless in my homework. Bai Yiqing was a little coquettish when she met her brother, saying, my homework is good even for the female teacher. It's my brother, you always dislike people and say they are careless. I don't believe you can do those math problems better than me. Good. Otherwise next time I will bring the topic back and let you do it for me too. Bai Yunfei said, by paying you to study, you will learn the skill of bickering with me. Let you go out to buy something and talk to the counter. You are like a mouse seeing a cat, or a mouse with a broken tail. Bowing her head and drooping her eyes and shivering. The two next to him listened to his description, and when they thought about it carefully, they were very similar. And they couldn't help laughing. Bai Yiqing was embarrassed, blushing, and stammered, brother, you really have brother Lin and they are here. Lin Qijun said, what brother Lin? I still have sister Lin? Yiqing, your brother has already I hurt you enough. I saved all the food I couldn't bear to use for you. I bought it for you without saying a word. I'm afraid that you will suffer a little bit of grievance. Even for your brother, you should study hard. I won't talk about doing anything to stand out in the future. At least be knowledgeable and reasonable, marry a good family, and let your brother enjoy some blessings. While talking, he used a knife to gently cut everything on the apple that had been peeled. Cut a large piece of pulp and handed it to Xuan Huaifeng. In his life, he has cut apples 8 or 9 times out of 10 for Xuan Huaifeng to eat. The other 1 or 2 times. He was just doing his filial piety in front of his mother to please the elderly. Sitting at the head of Bai Yunfei's bed at the moment, just talking to Bai Yiqing. But he didn't think about anything else. Seeing that Xuan Huaifeng was stunned, he looked up at him, smiled and didn't take it. Only then did Lin Qijun know that he was shaking. This was specially cut for patients to eat, and somehow the wrong side was passed. I can't help but think of the two reunited in the capital at the beginning of the year. Xuan Huaifeng fell ill in front of Da Xin Yangxing, and he carried him to the hospital by himself. He also sat on the edge of the hospital bed, peeled apples for him, and fed him 1 bite at a time. At that time, the two were deeply affectionate, laughing and eloquently, agreeing with one heart, immersed in the love river of blue waves and clear water. I don't know how sweet the heaven and earth are. It won't be long. The sea has not yet mulled the fields, and things are wrong. Lin Qijun pinched the sweet and crisp apple flesh. His heart was sore and bitter, and one hand was in the air, unable to stretch or retract, as if cold and frozen. Bai Yunfei had seen it clearly early on. He was a wise man. Seeing Lin Qijun's face suddenly flushed red, and then pale in frustration, he quickly said with a smile, I'm lying here and can't move. I'll ask Qijun to help me entertain the guests. There's nothing else delicious. You've been wronged Huaifeng to eat an apple, and you've come here. Xuan Huaifeng was also embarrassed. He smiled, took it, and said, I'm not going to your house as a guest. What kind of hospitality are you talking about? Since you are sick, you should enjoy the first priority treatment of the patient. I am so reckless and greedy first, don't call me rude. He took a light bite on his lips. The movements are good-looking and natural, with green and white flesh, red lips and white teeth, like the protagonists who are popular in the movie and who are not aware of it on the screen. Lin Qijun was stunned for a moment, then took his eyes back for a moment, and covered his smile and said, You naturally enjoy the treatment of the patient, isn't that half left? Half of you. Half of him, happy and comfortable. Holding the knife, he went to cut what was left in his hand, to dig out the core of the fruit, and pick out the clean meat for Bai Yunfei to eat. Bai Yiqing is only 14 or 15 years old, and she still doesn't understand what's going on with them. She smiled sweetly. An apple is worth sharing like this. I'll spend my pocket money tomorrow to buy you some apples. One for each person. Is it better to eat them separately? Xuan Huaifeng said, it's not bad to eat apples separately. And it's not a pear. Before he finished speaking, Lin Qijun suddenly made a hiss, his eyebrows slammed. Wrinkled. Bai Yunfei hurriedly asked, what's wrong? He wanted to sit up straight and look at it. Lin Qijun was absent-minded, his finger was slashed with a knife, and blood gushed out from the hole, dripping down like a bead of threads. Suddenly opened a few bright little red plums on the white sheets. Lin Qijun said, no, the sheets are all dirty. Xuan Huaifeng said, it's been a while, and I'm still taking care of the sheets. Yiqing, go and call the doctor. Yiqing nodded and went to the other side of the door. Lin Qijun hurriedly stopped her and said, don't go. He said with a wry smile. I cut my hand after peeling an apple. I can't afford to lose this person. It's not a serious injury. There is gauze in the house, and I wrap it myself. Just one click. Xuan Huaifeng dragged Lin Qijun to the window, looked at the light at his hand, which seemed to be deeply cut, frowned and snorted, too careless. Turning over. I turned over half a box of medicinal cotton, a roll of medical tape, and a small packet of cotton swabs. After searching again, I found another bottle of disinfectant alcohol. Lin Qijun said, I'll do it myself, I won't bother you. As he said that, he peeked at Xuan Huaifeng's face. It looks very poor. In the past, although he was very gentle and graceful, it was rare to see such a timid and cautious person. Unbelievably soft-hearted. I feel really cold and thin. Xuan Huaifeng sighed and said, if you are honest and calm, I won't be bothered. Raise your hand a little. He gently wiped the blood outside the wound, dipped a cotton swab in alcohol, and was careful around the wound. One touch. Lin Qijun gasped in pain. Xuan Huaifeng said in a low voice, I'm sorry. Please bear with me. The wound is not disinfected, and I'm afraid there will be bacteria. Lin Qijun said, it doesn't matter, you can come. My hand hurts, and I am very happy. After all, you still don't treat me as an outsider. Xuan Huaifeng said, even if an outsider is injured, I will not stand by and watch. Lin Qijun's originally happy face turned a bit bitter. He was stunned for a long time, and said softly, actually, if you don't say the last sentence. What's the matter? I already know that I am worthless in your heart. Even if I am an outsider now, I am afraid I am more popular than them. It's just that no matter how bad I am, I have known each other for so many years. You should have pity on me, and you shouldn't be so sincere. If I say something unkind, you have to hit me in the face with a stick. What did I do to make you hate me like this? Xuan Huaifeng silently closed the wound. Sterilized and carefully bandaged, Lin Qijun looked at him with his head lowered, revealing his elegant and long neck like a swan. Under the sunlight shining in from the window, his skin was bright white and crystal clear's notes. This beauty. I used to be able to touch it with my hand. Now it has become an inviolable forbidden area. In the past, if you wanted to touch it, it was like stroking your neck and face. Like picking up honey from your own saucer. And the one being touched will only rejoice. If you raise your hand now and relive the taste of the past, you will be regarded as a thief. Lin Qijun thought of this, his heart seemed to be held by the wound on his finger, and the pain was like a spasm. The pain was more severe than the pain in the fingers. It was pulling on the liver and stirring the intestines. I wanted to stretch out my arms and hug the person in front of me tightly. I learned the shameless robbery behavior of Bai Xuelan once. But I was afraid of the future. Xuan Huaifeng didn't even give him the friendship of his friends. Being robbed of love by someone, clearly people are in front of you. You want to touch but you can't touch it, and you want to do it, but you can't do it. The pain in Lin Qijun's heart at this moment is indescribable. When the back of his hand suddenly became hot, something was hot and wet. On it, there was actually a tear. Only then did he realize that he had lost his temper, and in a panic, he wiped his eyes with his uninjured hand. Xuan Huaifeng found out that he was stunned to his tears. After all, he was a former lover. He felt a pain in his heart, but he couldn't understand what to say. Since he had already made up with Bai Xuelan, he would make some unsteady statements to provoke out Lin Kejian's hope came. It seemed gentle, but in fact it was more cruel. He could only make fun of Lin Kejian with a forced smile. Men, if you cut your finger, you are about to cry? It's already wrapped. Let's go. Lin Kejian. He also forced a smile and returned to the hospital bed with his rounded fingers upright.